Hello and welcome to another episode of Recharge Wrestling. This is going to be an overview and results of NXT's In Your House, which aired on Saturday night. As always, we're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm here with Fisher again.
Hello,
and,
guys.
Nice quick overview. If you check out our YouTube channel, Recharge Wrestling, we'll be releasing a much more in-depth Hell in a Cell review, results, and analysis. So check that out. This is just going to be a quick one. So here we go. Fisher at the top of the card.
Right. So a few matches to go through, 6 on NXT. Started off with Legado del Fantasma versus Tony D'Angelo, Stacks, and Two Dimes.
Stacks and Two Dimes. I just call them Tony D and the Boys.
So do I. But yeah, that is their proper names. I don't think they have a group name, so I just call them by their individual names. And obviously, the stipulation was that the losing team had to join the others' sort of family. It was a good match, one of the better matches on the show, I thought. I don't think the NXT pay-per-views are takeover standard anymore, but I still think they're an enjoyable, good couple of hours of wrestling, not too long. And I think this was kind of epitomised that. It was a really good 6-man tag. Maybe not amazing, but a solid match.
It had a good pace to it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was fast-paced. And I think Wild and Cruz del Toro from Legado are really, really good wrestlers. They lose all the time, but they almost feel like they're there to put over other people, really, most of the time. But yeah, really good match with an interesting finish. Sort of an accidental pin by Stacks. He got knocked out by...
I actually quite liked that, didn't he?
Yeah, it was quite different, wasn't it?
I quite liked it.
Yeah, it was quite different. So he gets knocked out and then falls onto...
He sort of got pushed, didn't he?
Yeah, he got pushed by his teammate Two Dimes.
He almost didn't land on him, though.
No, it did look
it was like his leg, wasn't it?
It didn't look particularly great, but I thought that was a solid match to open the show.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Yeah, I must say.
The women's tag team titles are up next. Well, are you happy to move on to the next one? I know we said it's going to be a quick
so
one.
We know that Tony D and the Boys won that one.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So, I mean, we can just talk about briefly, I suppose. What do you see happening then? So Legado have got to join Tony D and his family. It's going to be a bit odd.
I think it's going to be relatively comedic.
Yeah.
To be honest,
it probably won't be a long-term thing either.
No, I can't imagine it. I think they're going to have another fight at some point, aren't they? So
yeah,
it's bound to happen.
It's interesting though. Women's tag team title match: Katana Chance and Kaden Carter versus Toxic Attraction.
I really enjoyed this. It was a real decent pace. Had some real good sort of tag team offensive, especially from Carter and Chance.
Yes, I was going to say I think their double moves are really innovative, really different. Stuff
their new
don't
look,
see
I think, helped as well. I wasn't keen on them when they were sort of really babyface. I know they still are face, but
they've got a bit more. Their gimmick's definitely got a bit more to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. There was a really good sort of suplex style move into a 540 splash, which looked amazing. I really did like that.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good match. The better of the two women's matches on the show for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And yeah, pretty good. And Toxic Attraction retained, which I did predict. I think you did as well. I think most people had them. A couple of people in our league did have new champs, but
this was one I was tempted to go with. But I think we discussed it before. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Carter and Chance go up to the main roster.
They should do
if they keep these women's titles in
tag team titles around.
Tag team titles, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The fray, they could do with them.
Yeah. Then we had Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes. Really cool entrance from Carmelo is what I noted down straight away.
Yeah.
The crowd didn't seem as hot for this as I was kind of expecting, especially to begin with. They did get into it, but
there was a bit of a mess where Williams was trying to tie Grimes to the rope.
Yeah.
That didn't go to plan at all, did it?
No.
Which I think put the crowd off a bit. I was watching it thinking this is just fumbly. Grimes was just sort of sat there letting him do it. He was like, oh dear. I think they just gave up in the end. There was an amazing Spanish fly though.
Yes, that got the crowd really hot, I thought, because they were chanting "Holy shit" after that, which they weren't doing. It was quite quiet, and then suddenly they pulled out these big moves. So the match did improve as it went along. But the main talking point really is the result. I think that was a bit of a surprise. Only one person in our whole league, I think it was Tizzle actually, who's been on the pod before. He, I think, was the only person who had Carmelo Hayes to win in our whole league. So that tells you that this result was a bit of a surprise.
It was a surprise, yeah. So I think we've thought that Carmelo was going to be going up to either the main NXT title or being fast tracked up to the main roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he might be the guy to
maybe Grimes is then maybe doing that, because this just seems a bit strange, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Carmelo's a brilliant champion, absolutely brilliant, but we thought he was going up the card. So
I thought he was either going to go to either face Bron Breakker or maybe even to the main roster. But yeah, doesn't look like that's happening yet. Another run with the US.
So what do we think with Grimes? Do we think he may go up?
I'm a bit worried. I was worried about Grimes before. I remember saying before he had the Norfolk, not necessarily release, but I feel like he might be a bit directionless now. I do think, because I think we're going to get Carmelo versus Solo Sikoa, aren't we? That's clearly been set up. That is going to be a good feud for the North American title. But I'm a bit worried where Grimes now fits in, because he might go after Bron Breakker, but I just don't see it happening. And if he does, then he's not going to. I don't think he beats him. So
no.
Yeah, main roster would be okay, but I just worry it'd become a bit too much of a joke, and he wouldn't be allowed to show off as much as his wrestling, which is.
That's really where he shines, isn't it? Really,
yeah. And he's got a great personality too. I mean, the stuff with LA Knight was great, wasn't it?
Let's just get Grimes versus LA Knight on the main roster.
Yeah. So yeah, then we had Mandy Rose versus Wendy Chu. I don't have a lot of notes for this match actually.
The match was okay, wasn't it? The thing I liked really was that one part I did like was Wendy Chu having a Toxic Attraction t-shirt underneath her tracksuit.
I like that, and she's kind of defaced it as well.
Yeah,
which was kind of cool. I did like that. I do like the Wendy Chu character. I've said it before. I like her character a lot. I find her entertaining, but I don't think it's a title picture gimmick, unfortunately.
No,
and I think
did notice when she took the tracksuit down a bit, it made her a bit more savage. I don't know why. She just seemed to be being a bit more aggressive, which I liked. I don't mind the gimmick, as you say, backstage and things, but in the ring, I'm not too fond.
I like it in the ring. I just don't think it's a top title level feud. I think it's a mid card kind of gimmick.
Yeah.
There were some good things in this match. There was a huge spine buster on the ramp by Mandy that was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mandy ended up winning with just a knee strike, and then Toxic Attraction all celebrated at the end, all still on top in the women's division. They've been very dominant now for quite a long time. I feel like sooner or later it's got to start unraveling. But for now,
I think they're probably concerned what they do with them afterwards, because.
Well, I mean, you can easily call them up, because Mandy's been up there before, and she can show them the.
Again, if they're keeping the tag titles, they'd be brilliant.
Yeah, if they keep the women's tag titles and they do the tournament, if they do that, then I think calling up Katana and Kaden and Toxic Attraction is a no-brainer. It's if they do that, like you say, because otherwise they get called up, and the women, unless you're in the title feud, you don't get focused that much. So
I think they need to be in a tag team as well.
100%. Yeah, I think if they were on their own, I don't think they'd be. Gigi Dolan might do okay, but I think the rest of them would get a bit swallowed up. Then we got, for me, match of the night, Pretty Deadly versus the Creed brothers. Again, with predictions wise, I think quite a few of us predicted a title change here based on the storyline. Obviously, if they lost, Roderick Strong was going to kick them out of Diamond Mine, and Creed brothers won, and they are just awesome. I think they're so cool in the ring. They do moves that I've not seen much of before, like the cannonball thing he does off the top rope.
That's really interesting, isn't it? The cannonball thing.
Yeah, I really like it.
I love their style of wrestling, because there's lots of suplexes and takedowns, but it doesn't have loads of slow submissions that you normally get from this sort of amateur wrestler style.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. It reminds me of the likes of Kurt Angle. More recently Chad Gable, that sort of style wrestling, and I really 100%. Like it when you put two guys together who can do these sort of fast, high-paced moves. It just really is effective, isn't it?
And they're bigger guys as well, and that's what makes it really cool. So the closing moments were awesome. So Julius, the belt somehow gets into the ring. Julius Creed goes to look at the belt, picks it up, but looks across at his dad in the crowd, and he's like, "I'm going to do this the proper way." Puts it down, and that shooting star press that
that
he
was
hit
mad for a big guy.
amazing.
Yeah,
Reminded me of when Brock Lesnar did one about 20 years ago when he first came into WWE. I
remember
think Brock
that
was
now
even
you said
bigger,
it.
but it was a huge student, and everyone was like, "What the hell? How can he do that?" It was a bit like that, and then the lariat thing afterwards, and they won and celebrated with the parents afterwards. I just thought it was a cool moment and a really good match. Shout out to Pretty Deadly as well; they did their bit, but yeah, the Creed brothers for me are awesome.
Yeah, and as you say, Pretty Deadly are just good at taking moves as well. One thing I did notice with this match that the Creed brothers are actually really dominant. You don't normally get that, but they were dominant for probably 80-85% in this match.
Yeah, they were pretty dominant. They were, yeah.
Which is cool. I like that. It's something different.
Yeah. And then the main event, of course, was a match that I wasn't really looking forward to based on the build-up. Bron Breakker versus Joe Gacy. Thought it started quite slowly, but it picked up. And then in the end, Bron did retain his title. Obviously, he tries to get the story of the match was obviously if Bron gets DQ'd, he loses the title. Joe Gacy kept trying to get him DQ'd, did the ref the belt thing where he fell on the floor and it was like ref, like he's hit me in the face.
He hit the chair on the floor, didn't he? Hit the chair.
Ref was going to do it, but then another ref come in and stopped it.
The ref that's never there when you want him this time was there.
Yeah,
this is a real bugbear of mine.
Yeah,
the referees all stood around, but in this storyline, he did come down and tell him.
Yeah.
I did love the spot at the end where Breakker shoulder charged Gacy off the apron.
Oh, that was.
And he
cool
went
spot.
through the announce desk. He only just reached that as well.
That was a hell of a bump from Gacy, really, because he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And Bron's so cool in the ring. Like his moves and stuff are really cool. I just want to see him have a slightly more interesting feud that's not this kind of gimmicky. And really cool. There was a low blow as well behind the ref where Gacy nearly won. But in the end, he hits the power slam thing that I don't know if it's called power slam, but
no idea.
Hits the spear and then his power slam type thing to win, to close the show. Solid show, I would say. Nothing spectacular. But
it's good, wasn't it?
Not old Takeo level.
Crazy.
But I think, it was a good
couple of title changes, I suppose.
Yeah, noteworthy in that sense.
But yeah, very enjoyable.
So I think that probably covers it for NXT. So I hope you enjoyed this sort of quick review. We might do a few more of these for this kind of thing. We've got other shows coming up that are bigger, but follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle for loads of wrestling tweets and information on our predictions league and all that kind of stuff. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got my GM mode from Keeney. Still got another 20 weeks to go or something like that. And this long 50-week GM mode. So a lot of episodes still to come and some great ones so far. Look at our weekly pod for WWE, AEW, NXT, everything. We cover a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up, including the Hell in a Cell one, which if you're watching this, look out for the Hell in a Cell pod because it'll be up not too long after. See you next time. Goodbye.
See you soon. Thank you.